And hello again and welcome to Corrupted Quill here, with armies on parade just around the corner. I thought I'd show off a few of the boards I have done in my terrain making life so far. Now this one is the kind of the third board I've made so far. You can see it went for kind of like an overgrown Aztec-y sort of jungle-esque feel. Most of this is XPS crafted, various runes drawn in, and some of them is a different foam. That's a lighter foam so I can draw on it. This is a harder foam so I could fully shape it. Most of it is just built up in layers and then cut out entirely. And then of course the abundance of, well, plant life. That's what I kind of like a lot. And what I'm known for a lot of my builds is going for that natural environment. No, most of these trees are done with the same thing I've done recently, just a bit more of a basic approach. So it's got the tree stump, the branches glued in, and then the foliage on top. Now I have gone completely overboard with the plant life here. You can see I've got a lot of variety of, most of these are plastic plants and they are great for builds, but you do have to actually paint them if you want them to look actually nice on the table. Mostly I went for, a few different greens, but also a few purple approaches too to make areas look a bit brighter. Lots of twigs from roots and all that kind of stuff, a few vines that I've made as well, and it was a relatively quick build. I think build time was only about 10 hours because most of it is pretty simple to go on, and my painting style is quite simple as well, just doing a basic coat and then a variety of kind of dry brushes and washes to get it down really quite quickly, messily. That's how I like to do it. And of course a little resin river. Now that is, basic resin approach with clear acrylic kind of binding it together to make it look a bit flowing. Now this board is for my Tyranid project. Now you could be mistaken thinking it is for the Saurian armies in AOS, but I did it for my Tyranids. I wanted them. This is my favorite. That one's the Trigon. Very colourful. Now I made these mostly as a way, my theme with these was outskirt worlds kind of taking over abandoned old civilizations left behind, that kind of thing, outskirts. People haven't been there in centuries, and they're just there eating the plant life happily and kind of showcasing that colour within them. Now I had this entire board full of termagants and hormigants and gene stealers and a few big bugs and that kind of stuff, and I thought it looked a treat. I did enter it in last year's Armies on Parade for Games Workshop, but unfortunately didn't place because the things on there were absolutely fucking amazing. So I've got a long way to go still to reach those lofty heights. Now, yeah, that is a beautiful build. I think I might... Thank you for joining us. I think I might showcase a little bit of this kind of old Aztecian building style. It's actually quite simple with XPS. Really quite simple to do. And as you can see, the looks are amazing on the tabletop. Now I did have lofty... Hello again. I did have lofty visions of making this into a full, actual playable board, and I think I might do that one day. But that's one of those back burner projects that keeps going. Alright, let's move that one away. Look at that. Well, should probably move the Tyranid first. Alright, let's move that. Dun, 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 dun. And this is the board I made this year. Now this was a simple project for my ad mech because I kind of had the basing with derelict sort of industrial feel. And for this one I wanted to go with kind of a crashed spaceship kind of look. Let me go around a little bit this way. There we go. Crashed spaceship kind of look. Get some light in there. So most of this is actually done with cardboard. You can see I do have a few 3D printed elements as well as a few Guild Workshop pieces around to tie it all together, but most of it's from the girders to here and all that kind of stuff, even our big ones at the back, is all done with cardboard. Yes, cheap and easy. Now you can get really detailed looks with cardboard if you spend enough time. This I kind of did a few cheap ways of bringing in a few Guild Workshop pieces from walls and railings and other places like this bit here to kind of raise that detail level pretty quickly without much work. And a few other scavenge pieces, like this is from a printer part. I've got leftover chain, I've got some, I think they're popsicle sticks or something like that, that I've glued together to make some sort of pipe network. And yeah, a few other wall pieces kind of glued into the back area. Let's see if I can get some more light in there so you can see properly. That's a bit better. So you can see all that detail, pretty quick to do as well, another 10-hour board. But this one, I didn't go for the full kind of, well, 60 centimeter kind of board like the old one, with MDF layer and then XPS on top. This one is just a blackboard, basically. Some sort of cheap blackboard I picked up from the $2 shop for about $10. And then use that as the basis for it, putting on all the rocks, XPS rocks, and a few real rocks, and then putting on various technical effects to kind of make that space. Most of it is painted pretty lazy as well, with a red coat, and then dry brushing in, or stippling in browns, oranges, and then dry brushing a bit of silver around the area to make it look like it's been there for a while in a hot desert environment. It hasn't rusted too much, but it has started at least. So you can see that is a lovely little board. Quick and easy, made with cardboard and bits and pieces you can find around. Now you could use, instead of the GW pieces, bits and pieces of like other terrain sets. There's Mantic makes some great ones, as well as a few others now. I've seen a lot of Kickstarters too. Or just go all basic with cardboard. You could go that way too. And just wire and whatever else you find. So that is that board, and I'll grab some of my AdMech to show you. Now as you can see, this is my eclectic bunch of AdMech. Alright, see, Dune Crawler, went for that pastel blue. I wanted them to look really rusty, just like this is how they were originally visually, just rusty, haven't been repaired in that long, been on crusade or whatever else the AdMech do, looking for STCs in a while, and with lots of rust marks and all that kind of thing all over it. You see, one thing I kind of found early on when I was painting them is that the red just gets really washed out with the, the earthy environments that he's meant to put them in. So I went for that blue, and it really kind of pops a little bit better. Lots of dune crawlers. I have my AdMech tanks. See, I love these guys. Come on, come over. The dune crawlers. They're an amazing model. And I made them both magnetized and also posable because I like them just hanging out on the board. But they do have a base as well. It's kind of the same sort of environment. I've got a whole range of troops. Doggos. I've got a lot of AdMech. I've got about 4K of them now. They are in abundance. And I like these ones. These are the Taraxi flyers. Now I went all out with the basing. I didn't really like the flight stands for them. Looked kind of odd, so I gave them lots of mechadendrites to kind of hold themselves up when they're, perching and flying, and just giving them that height where it's needed. And I made a little backboard behind, so they could actually look like they're flying around in the back of the piece, where I needed them, or just chuck them on the ground somewhere. That is the AdMech Force. I've easily got like 4K of them now. It's a process. Alright, let's chuck these back. Now I've made a few other boards before, but mostly I've sold them. There was a lush kind of grassy green, which was actually my first board I've ever made. I don't know why I made it. I didn't have an army in mind for it, but I just made it. That's sometimes what you got to do to test your processes. Just make something. Alright, let's move that. Meow. And the other one was my earlier AdMech board. That thing was, chunky and old, but I loved it. That was my first kind of armies on parade a few years ago now that I actually took to a store. And, well, I kind of had my first level AdMech, just basic troops, cataphrons, all that kind of stuff. The early AdMech days rather than the new stuff. And this is a work in progress board. Now I'm not sure what this army is for. It's going to be a nice kind of orangey, deserty dirt, kind of Arizona feel, like a few plants around the place, a few bushes, shrubs, that kind of thing. But I just wanted to make those weird kind of rock layers everywhere that you see in those environments, and dry stream bed through there to place things. Nice flat levels for, you know, you kind of need those flat levels for your miniatures to sit on. And as you can see, built on MDF. This one's a cheap styrofoam to kind of get that process back. And then I'll probably do the sides with flat PVC. Either that, if I'm going really expensive and I can't find any of that, it'll be balsa wood. I don't like that too much. So that is that board I am working on. It's been sitting on my shelf for several months now because I haven't been bothered finishing it, but I probably should. You can see around there. Look at that. See those little rock layers? Kind of carved all these out with my knife. That's what I like doing, just so you can give different levels in it. And those are my Armies on Parade board. If you have your own, chuck in the comments below, and I will say that the Games Workshop day that they showcase these on Twitch is amazing lately. I do like this. Well, I like the in-store approach. I was still taking my current AdMech board to a store this year, because we can do that. But I don't know, the global thing is really nice. It's nice for them to be showcasing like much more of the hobby side of the game. I really like that, because I am probably more hobby than play, but I still like to play. Alright, thanks for sticking around, seeing my army boards, and yes, I will go through the process in depth one of these days. If there's enough likes on this video, I will go through it within this month. Yes, maybe. Alright, see you next time.